The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, thank you. So we will welcome everyone to the formal board meeting of this Board of Supervisors. The date is August 23rd, 2023. The first item on our agenda is the roll call. So, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Good morning. Yes, thank you. Supervisor Gates is joining us remotely. Supervisor Gates.
Here.
Supervisor Galvin.
Here.
Supervisor Sellers.
Here.
Supervisor Gallardo.
Here.
And Chairman Hickman.
And I'm here. Thank you, Juanita. Okay, moving on to item number 2 and 3. Is the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Gallardo is sponsoring today's invocation and pledge. So, Supervisor Gallardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it is my honors to have a very dear friend with us this morning to lead us off in the invocation and the pledge. Isaac Cerna is here, community leader. We'll go ahead and allow him to start us off, and I'd love to be able to say a few words in regards to his great work he has done in the community afterwards.
Great. Welcome, and if we could all please rise.
Thank you. If everyone could please bow your heads. Dear God, please look over our Maricopa County Board of Supervisors and give them great guidance and direction. Please continue to have them work in unison and make the difficult decisions for our community, our county, and the cities that they serve. Thank you all. God bless. Amen.
Amen.
If you guys want to put your hands over your heart for the Pledge of Allegiance and join in. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Gallardo.
And Mr. Chairman, special thank you to Isaac and for being here. Thank you so much, Isaac, for being here. Isaac Cerna is just a pillar out there in the community, especially when it comes to kind of the Southwest Phoenix, Laveen portion of our county. Everyone knows who Isaac is. He has been around for so long. He has been just a real champion. There's a small community. It's part of Phoenix, Laveen-ish, kind of.
Laveen,
yeah, kind
right behind my house is
yeah.
the island.
Yeah, it's right there. There's a school right in the middle, the Cash Elementary School, part of Laveen School District, and there is a park known Margarita Playa Park that has been, you probably know more history than I do about Margarita, but it is a park right in the middle of just a great neighborhood, a neighborhood with just so much history. Generation of families have lived there, and their kids are now living there, and it's one of those types of communities where folks just end up staying. They fall in love in that area. Isaac has been just a pillar when it comes to youth activities, let it be sports or just helping the community in general. It's one of the parks in which we have one of our water days at. One of the first water days the city of Phoenix, or Maricopa County and the city of Phoenix worked on was right there at Margarita Playa. They have an annual lowrider show that they do every fall. I wrote it down, November 4th, correct? November 4th. It's this Saturday at Margarita Playa. The proceeds to the lowrider cart, and it is huge. It is a huge event. The proceeds go towards youth baseball. Mm-hmm. And so thank you, Isaac, for all the work you do on behalf of our community. He served on school boards. He's just done it. He has done so much. But nonetheless, just the work and helping our families, our kids, when the need is there, you're there. So thank you, Isaac, for all the work you've done, and thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
Thank you all. I served on
If you want to take the microphone for people at home.
I served on many county boards also. I served on the Parks Commission. I served on the Transportation Board and your Great Diamondbacks Foundation Board, which has been a blessing to work and to serve. And a lot of times people don't get involved, but the more people get involved, the more they understand government and the more they're supportive, especially the difficult decisions you guys make. because each day you guys have people who are either happy or mad, but you make the right decision for all of us. And sometimes people don't understand that. And at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and we all should understand that we're all here to work together for what's best for all of us. So thank you. Thank you for everything you guys have done. Thank you for having me the opportunity to serve, and I just wish more people would get involved.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today and all the work that you've done for your community. Thank you, Supervisor Gallardo, for sponsoring today, and thanks for making the drive, coming down like all of us have, to watch government in action, and thanks for participating in it.
One quick note. You guys are all invited to our show and shine. Maricopa County Sheriff's Department has always been very supportive. They do the honor guard for us, and they bring out their vehicles, and it's a great family event. And that's where we promote family, because we're all in this together. But thank you.
Great, thank you. That reminds me of a time that I went in Supervisor Gallardo's district and took my family out to dinner, and I made a left turn, and I was with our SUV. I was right in the middle of a lowrider car parade. So I'll never forget that. Thanks for the culture.
Right in there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't bring my egg truck. It would have been shameless. Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, always a highlight. Kim is joining us today representing the Pet Showcase in Maricopa County Animal Care and Control. So welcome, Kim, and tell us about your guest today.
Well, as you can see, it is not the one on the photo. That is Saffron, and Saffron is still available for adoption, but I did notice yesterday she was just a little more nervous around men, so I didn't want to make her in an uncomfortable situation. So she would actually still be in a really good home if they were willing to go slow with her and provide some training. She's a great dog. I spent a lot of time with her yesterday. But instead, I brought Cassidy, and let me tell you how hard it is to find a dog to bring here because there are so many good ones. I had staff members flooding me with, what about this dog? What about this one? What about this one? And I walked by Cassidy's kennel, and she's looking at me like, bring me. You know you want to bring me. And she's wiggling, wagging her tail like crazy, so I had to bring her. She loves people. She loves meeting new people. She's about 5 years old, and today is her 1-month anniversary at the shelter, so we would like her to not stay for a 2-month anniversary. She would love to go to a great home that's someone who's full of energy like her, maybe someone who likes to go hiking. She'd be great at that. She's very muscular. People have been saying that when she jumps up on you, you can see all of her muscles flex. So she'll be a good addition to an active family, and also just a family that's okay with letting her be a couch potato as well, because I've noticed she likes to just hang out on my lap. She thinks she's a lap dog. She's about 50 pounds, so it's, to each their own. But she is already spayed, so she is ready to go home today, so you can immediately begin your life together, and her adoption fee is waived for our Clear the Shelters event, which runs through Thursday.
Awesome, Kim. And if everyone takes a look about this American, that looks like an American Pit Bull or mix?
Believe so, yes.
Yeah, so my family has some Pit Bulls, and they are the most loving dogs. And it's like you hear everything about Pit Bulls, but I'm glad you brought up the part about the muscles flexing as they jump in their lap, So thank you for that. I also noticed he speaks the same language as my inside dogs. It doesn't matter how air conditioned you get a house, they're gonna pant, and kids are gonna complain that it's too hot, right?
Absolutely.
So thank you for bringing him. Good luck, and good luck to Saffron also.
Okay.
And hope to see them get a new home this week.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, hey. See, loves men.
Okay, I'll see you
Loves men. Free while he lasts. Madam Clerk, are there any announcements or corrections to the agenda?
Chairman, I have no announcements or corrections to the agenda.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, I didn't notice up on the screen, I wanted to remind everybody, in the last meeting that we had, it was brought to the board's attention that no one knew how to, sometimes we have long meetings, and water needs to be available, and it is available. that suggestion was made. There's water cups there by the fountain to bring water cups. So if you feel like you need a drink of water, you can jump up, get a water cup, and sit down and have a glass of water as we make our way through this meeting. So thanks for that. Okay. So we'll go on to the consent agenda. A lot of you have not been here before. Consent agenda usually means that these are items that look towards an approval, but sometimes things come up and people want to talk about them. So I'm going to go through this. Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers or comments received on items 5 through 9?
Chairman, Supervisors, I did receive 2 speaker forms here, both in opposition for item number 9, Pottery Land. We have Eric Bosovoven, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and Daniel Romney.
Okay.
Daniel would like to speak in opposition, and Eric marked to speak only if necessary.
Only if necessary in opposition?
Correct.
And any speaker slips for 5 through 6, 7, or 8?
Chairman, none were received for items 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay. Do I have a motion to move item 9 off consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Okay. Motion and a second. That's approved. Okay, so we'll move that off consent agenda. Let's go back to the consent agenda. Items 5, 6, 7, and 8. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the planning and zoning consent agenda, items 5 through 8 and 10, in accordance with the commission recommendations as printed on the agenda.
Well, I'll look for 10 here in a second, Mr. Vice Chair, because that's on another screen. So we'll get to item 10. But so can you amend that to 5, 6, 7, and 8?
Done.
Okay, I have a motion to approve items 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion to approve item 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Great. Do I have a second?
That is the.
Oh, that was a second. Sorry. See, it's a little bit hard.
Third.
Okay, you got a third. I got a third. Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. I have first, second, and third. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill. Oof. Thank you, Darth Vader. I have a motion and a second. It looks like we've approved it, so motion carries. Okay, we will now go on to item number 9, which is Pottery Land. And there are registered, it looks like there is a registered speaker. So if I can have that speaker slip. Oh, both are on the webinar. Okay. Well, because you're both on speaker, or webinar, let me call Mr. Eric Bosovoven first. Eric, are you with us?
Eric is self-muted.
Eric, if you could please unmute.
Give me a second. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I thought you guys had us muted.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Perfect. So there are concerns about the proposed parking area that I guess are a little bit confusing to the residents on the street, one of which is where the entrance will be. It shows a gate coming out onto Via de Palmas, which is a residential street, which is concerning about the increased traffic. I think this was also submitted prior to the road improvement and the building of a parking lot for them that parallels Cooper Road. So they have what appear to be 10 plus parking spots along Cooper Road that were just put in when they did the road expansion. And it seems like this is redundant to build another area up on top in this area. And then Mr. Romney, I know, is going to speak to the potential hazards of such road as well. So I'll let him speak to that.
Okay. Let's hold on for a second because I have gone a little bit out of order. I'm going to ask our P&D people to come up because now that we've moved this off consent, just in case if there's any questions that we might have for them for a moment. Thank you guys for joining us. And please introduce yourself to the crowd that happens to be on the internet as well. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Tom Ellsworth. I'm the Director of Planning and Development. With me is Darren Gerard. He's our planning manager.
Okay. Because it's on consent, I'm just going to go next. I'm going to go next to the person that's on the internet or on the webinar, and let's go ahead and hear from him too. And then I know that you guys are up here for questions from your supervisor. So please, I'm sorry. That name is Daniel Romney. Mr. Romney, welcome.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
All right, good morning, Board of Supervisors. I appreciate you guys being able to hear me out as a residential owner. Our property butts up to pottery land, and you know, my concerns as I was in the board meeting the last board meeting, I'm still have the concerns about the parking on there. When Eric was talking about the parking up in front, there is plenty of parking up front. There's you know, when I went over there and counted, there's easily over 20 cars, parking spots available right now as we speak on there. My concern is why are we going to move those parking spots into the front and move it back to the side, which is also now going to create more issues on Via de Palmas instead of directing it in front of Pottery Land, let alone keeping it in front of there. But also in doing so, I'd like to try to have a little bit more time to extend this, to reach out to some of the attorneys as I have also reached out to some of the well companies as well. Their property, that wall, from where they're wanting to do that parking lot is no less or no more than 4 feet from that. So from our well, that well is our only source of water. And in doing so, you have all these vehicles, which, you know, it's going to be construction vehicles and so on that go in there to buy this because it's a landscaping pottery place. You're going to have all these vehicles in there that's going to be leaking oil, gas, or anything else that close to the well, to the main source of it. On top of their lot is higher than ours. So their drainage is going to be going into right directly within that. So where that parking lot, if you see that photo on your guys' site, that parking lot is no more than 4 feet from that well. So like I said, I'm in the process of now trying to meet with some of the attorneys to find out more of the regulations and codes as far as the business to residential, as well as to the parking lot being up on a higher lot and being that close to a well that is the main source of water for our family. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is to try to see if we can get extension on there until I hear back from some of these other attorneys to confirm on that. I'm just kind of.
Yeah. Mr. Rami, thank you for joining us today. If you could stand by on the phone. Usually I try to afford as much time as possible, but I think you've made yourself clear. So let me, if you don't mind, I'm going to turn this over to, because we are getting off consent, and Supervisor or Vice Chairman Sellers, this is in your district. Would you like a brief?
Yes, I would, please.
Okay, a brief presentation by our P&Z. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is zoning case Z 2022-099 for Pottery Land. It's in District 1. The subject property is approximately 1.2 acres and is located on the east side of Cooper Road, just south of Chandler Heights Boulevard. The request specifically is for a special use permit to allow an interim industrial use for the storage and sale of outdoor landscaping and decor in a rural 43 zoning district. Currently, the subject site is the subject of a zoning violation. The retail operation has been operating at this location for approximately 20 years. We recently received a complaint regarding a retail operation in a rural 43 zoning district. Therefore, we have a zoning violation. The applicant is requesting this SUP to remedy that violation. As you've heard, we heard concerns regarding parking, impact onto the residential street, screening of material. I think at the commission hearing, there was a concern expressed about materials even bleeding over the property line. What we have, and as you can see on the screen, is a proposed site plan that is in concurrence with this request as well. You can see that they've provided parking along the residential street on the south side. All access to this site will be off of Cooper Road. There was mention of the gated access out to, I'm trying to see what, Via de Palmas. That's a gated access. It's listed on the site plan as emergency access only, so it should be remaining shut unless needed for an emergency. We did process this through our regular review processes, which includes various county divisions, including our engineering department and our engineering division and our environmental services. We have not received any concerns regarding drainage or environmental issues. As they come forward with improvements to that land or to that parking area in the front, they will need to provide that retention, that drainage on site, which will also be reviewed through a gradient and drainage plan. With that, it did go to the Planning Commission at their July hearing. They recommended unanimous approval 6-0.
Okay. Thanks for the history of this project. Vice Chair Sellers.
Okay, Tom, well, this has really been operating there for a number of years. And until just very recently, we had no complaints about it. And I feel like the request they've made now for the special use permit addresses any issues that we might have with the property. I guess my question to you is, do you feel there are still issues remaining that would make it worthwhile to continue this, or do you think they've all been covered?
With the conditions presented in the stipulations in the staff report, we believe that those concerns have all been addressed.
Okay, well, with that being said, I move approval of item number 9.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack. And Tom, I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on this part of the consent agenda. Appreciate it. So now we'll move on to the next part of the consent agenda, item number 10, Saving Paws Rescue. Madam Clerk, are there any comments received on item number 10?
Chairman, Supervisors, I do have a few speaker forms here. One is from Sandy Lutke. She wishes to speak in opposition. I received 2 in favor from Sandra Long and Hannah Zurita. And I also understand that Ashley Marsh, the applicant, is also available to present.
Okay, thank you. And taking a look at this, item number 10 is in District 3, and Supervisor Gates is joining us on the phone. Supervisor Gates, there are people here to talk about item number 10. I would assume that you would like me to proceed with that?
That would be great, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, great. Because let's try to do this back in the right order. Item number 10, now that you guys are sitting here in front of us, tell us a little bit about this item, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, this is zoning case Z 2019-105 for Saving Paws Dog Rescue in District 3. The 5-acre subject property is located west of 15th Avenue on the north side of Irvine Road in the Phoenix area. Specifically, the request is for an SUP to allow a dog rescue to operate in the rural 43 zoning district. Saving Paws Rescue has operated on the site since 2018. At the time, it was operating as a home occupation. There was a home on the site that has been removed to make way for a new home on the site. Those building permits have been submitted, and I believe they've been issued. However, there have been some delays in that construction, causing a violation to the zoning ordinance. Dog rescue or dog kennel cannot be the primary operation. In an effort to come into compliance, there were a couple of options that they would have. One would be to build a home back on the site, and the dog rescue would be available. The other, it would be to, I believe they own an adjacent parcel that has a home. They could combine those properties, and that would have also sufficed. And this, they've opted to go with the special use permit. What this will do will allow or establish some operational procedures and will allow for whoever's residing at the site to not necessarily be the proprietor of the site. So in essence, they have a proposal for a 3,000 square foot home that incorporates two dog kennel wings. Within that, with that home, if somebody's residing there, if it were the proprietor, again, this would be a home occupation. So they proceeded forward with this SUP. It will allow more flexibility in how they operate the site. There are conditions or stipulations for approval that limit hours of operation, that discuss how many customers could be on the site per day. Noise has been one of the primary concerns that we've heard from the neighboring properties. As you hear the opposition today, that might be what's brought up as well. They have incorporated noise attenuation into the design of the site. They are being stipulated to having 6-foot walls that not only screen the perimeter of the property and the exercise area, but also incorporated into that internal courtyard that is part of the home. As we proceeded forward to the commission, we had 4 letters of opposition, 59 letters of support. We did hear from 2 or 3 people in opposition at the commission hearing. The commission did recommend approval of this to the board with stipulations A through I with a vote of 6-0.
Okay, thank you. Bill, do you have any questions for for our staff before I bring up the applicant?
Not at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I do know that the applicant is here, Ms. Marsh, I believe. So if you could please join us today, welcome.
Looking for the clicker, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. Ashley Marsh Gamage and Burnham 40 North Central for your records. And more importantly, other than introducing myself on behalf of Saving Paws, who I'm very happy to be here in front of, I just want to take a minute to recognize all the volunteers we have for Saving Paws today. You have 2 speaker slips in front of you to speak in favor, but we have about 25 to 30 people in the audience. So obviously, Ashley Marsh, very proud to be here, but more importantly, wanted to introduce our crowd of support here. I'm happy to go through just a couple high-level points regarding Saving Paws, if that's helpful, but we have such a great presentation from staff, a great report as well that this board is accustomed to, so I'll be very, very brief in my remarks. Quickly about Saving Paws, it is a 501c3 charitable organization founded by Tricia Houlihan, who's here today. She's been operating for over 10 years. And Saving Paws does such incredible work and service, which you see in the 60 letters of support, you see in the sea of people behind us, to really take care of the German Shepherds, Belgian Molyneux dogs, as well as other dogs in the community. They rescue about 200 a year and actually partner with our own Maricopa County Animal Care and Control. Through the years, they've secured a number of key partnerships that have allowed them to continue and enhance their operations, which you see some of their community partners on the bottom of the slide. Just for some additional context, this is a very rural site we're talking about. SPR is located in the Desert Hills area. It's just south of Anthem, off of Irvine Road and 15th Avenue, east of the I-17. It is a 5-acre site, again, extremely rural. These aerials just depict the surrounding conditions of the property. All are U43 zoned, so when you're thinking about where a dog rescue would be appropriately situated, this is the spot. It is in the middle middle of RU 43, very rural zoning, very rural setting, and an appropriate 5-acre spot for a dog rescue. This particular piece of property was donated in 2018 and has been operating as a pet rescue since there. Mr. Ellsworth did a great job going over the violation history, which is really a cleanup exercise for the SUP we're here today. In 2018, the property was acquired. 2019, a special use permit was initiated, and that's why this is a Z 2019 case. But through the operations itself, the home occupation was actually allowed by right at that time. 2020, there were new plans submitted for the permanent single-family residential home, which Mr. Ellsworth touched on. And then in 2022, when the production was starting for that home, a modular home, which was serving as a home occupation, was moved from one parcel to an adjacent parcel, which triggered the violation. So, but for moving that modular home from one parcel to an adjacent parcel, there would be no violation at issue. 2023, we reinitiated the special use permit, as Mr. Ellsworth mentioned, to create a little bit more flexibility and also provide some more parameters for how the rescue would be operated. In Maricopa County, you can have as many animals as you'd like on a piece of property as long as they're well cared for and maintained. So this special use permit actually creates some parameters for the operations. Just to go over a couple of key notes on our site plan, it is a 5-acre site. As you can see, there's a large amount of open space, and that's that black and white site plan that you see. The bottom aerial shows a little bit of the build out of what the site actually is looking like. And then just to highlight a couple of new features on this site, the sound attenuation Mr. Ellsworth was talking about, the facility itself will be completely enclosed, which is outlined with that 6-foot CMU wall in purple. And it encloses those training areas, which you see in blue, and some enclosed kennels that you see in yellow. So this whole site now, as you can see on the aerial below, is not completely enclosed, but through these really significant improvements, the sound attenuation Mr. Ellsworth mentioned will be built out and address and mitigate some of those concerns. Just to give you a perspective of the current conditions versus what it will look like upon build out, I have an example here of the current condition. That's the photograph, and then the render, which is the finished kennel, which hopefully will be done by the end of the year. Site operations, these are all stipulations for the most part outlined in the staff report, so I won't go through these in detail, but as Mr. Ellsworth mentioned, there's a number of stipulations on our case that will go through and limit how the site is operated as part of a special use permit request. So in summary, this is a very compatible use in a rural setting. It's an important community service, has important community partnerships, including with our own Maricopa County, very large community support, 59 letters in support, a sea of volunteers here with only 2 speak, if that's helpful. Staff recommendation of approval. The applicant is in agreement with all of the stipulations, especially those that pertain to operations. Planning Commission unanimous approval, and we would respectfully request the board's approval as well. So I wanted to just give a very high-level overview of why we're here today, what we're doing today. Do it quickly. I know you already had one item off consent and available for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Bill, I've got 3 speaker slips in front of me. Should we go on to speakers, or do you have any questions while the applicant is standing by the microphone? Did we lose Bill, or? Okay, well, I'll let him chime in. I'll go ahead and play the chairman's card right now and bring up the speakers. I have 3 speakers slips, 2 in favor and 1 in opposition. So I'll go for the favor first. Now that we're all awake, that still would not have gotten my high schooler up to go to school today. So. we'll just go on to the speaker slips, and then I'll ask for a bill again. So first off, I'll call up, and I know that it says speak in favor or only if necessary, but you're here, so let's just bring you up. I'm first going to call up Sandra Long. Sandra, welcome today. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my husband and I have lived in this area for almost 20 years now. We live just down the street from Saving Paws Rescue. And we've seen this property go through many changes over the years. A lot of it we opposed, the whole Desert Hills community opposed. I haven't really seen any opposition to this particular one from close neighbors. We didn't even know that Saving Paws was there. We thought the property was vacant until we came by for a garage sale, a yard sale that they had. And when I found out that they wanted what they were doing, I quickly volunteered for it because I thought it was very commendable. We've always heard dogs barking in the neighborhood, even before Saving Paws. People have a ton of dogs in that area. In fact, right across the street, there's like 6 to 8 dogs between 2 properties. We still rarely hear any dogs barking, and I do hear it once in a while because I'm listening for it. I want to recognize the dogs, like, oh, that's Chester, or, you know.
Can we bring up the screenshot that has the aerial picture? But go ahead. I'm sorry to bother you, but in relation, maybe you can just point to where you live in relation to the facility, just for the board's sake.
We live like 5 houses down on Irvine.
Okay.
So just down the street, the mailbox is right on the corner. So we go to the mailbox constantly.
Okay.
And we've never really seen a lot of activity there until the construction started, but I'd been volunteer there long before that. Okay. So like I said, you know, we didn't really know anybody was there. It's been pretty quiet except for the dogs that are across the street. We hear them all hours of the day. And I volunteered. And once I was working there, I actually adopted one of their rescue puppies. And she has gone on to be a CGC, Canine Good Citizen. And we just passed our therapy dog exam. And I know there's a lot of dogs that Saving Paws Rescue have that have done that. They do good works for the community.
Sandra, I'm going to, and I could probably say the rules of the road too. Let's go ahead, and what would you like the board to, and then we thank you for your service to the animals. You can see it's important to us as we introduce shelter dogs to try to get adopted. So, yeah.
Well, my point is that the neighborhood, thinking that 5 houses going in there would be a lot more traffic, a lot more water use. Okay. Originally, they were going to put a school in there, which would have been incredibly bad just because of the traffic and the streets, rural streets. And like I said, we don't really see a lot of traffic or a lot of activity at the ranch right now.
So you're feeling that the Paws Rescue is a great neighbor to you.
I do.
And so much so that you've decided to volunteer there also. So thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting the board know. In opposite,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Bill.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted you to know and the speaker to know that I can hear everyone, and I certainly appreciate them coming, but just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Thanks for being there. So we'll get through the speakers, and then I'll look to you. So appreciate it. So in opposition, and I'm somebody is registered, Sandy Lutke, and she is on the line. Okay, Sandy, welcome to today's meeting.
Good morning. Yes, my name's Sandy Ludke, and I'm also a resident in Desert Hills. I'm Trish's neighbor, or I will be as soon as she's able to move into her house out there. I've been out there for 15 years, and I know most of my neighbors around me. In fact, yeah, I think the reason I've met most of them has been through developmental issues. I think Sandra touched on one of them when we just moved in there just 15 years ago, was the school issue. And so I do know my neighbors. And at the commissioners meeting, I couldn't hear a lot of today's presentation because I'm on the road. And so if I pop out, it has to do with hitting a dead zone. But anyway, I did meet my neighbor. I do know my neighbors. And at the commissioners meeting, the attorney had made mention that something about lacking a neighborhood, but it is a neighborhood. And I know all my neighbors, either through our shared well agreements or developmental issues or just being on the block. So it did kind of strike a nerve because we are a strong neighborhood out there. And I understand the need for rescues. I own rescue dogs, or all of the dogs that I do own are from rescues. But I did have, mostly I'm here to just state, because I do have an opportunity to speak, and I really appreciate that, is that, the representation is just a little off. I think there were 59 in favor and 3 in opposition. But when I read most of those letters that are in the report, they're from places like Washington State, Maricopa, Gilbert, Show Low. And so it's easy to say you want to rescue right there. And I understand the need for rescues, but when you're right next door, maybe you don't want it right next door to you because of the noise and the development. So, there have been concerns over the years, and some of those concerns have resulted, and I guess, some of the instances had to do, and I know Mr. Gates has heard me before talk about my concerns about the businesses that come out there and put the cart before the horse, and that they don't get all the things in place before they start building, before they start putting the dogs in place. And I think that's one of my big concerns, because it's very, very difficult once a business is in there to get enforcement to take place. And so those are some of the concerns, because it's a lengthy, convoluted process at best if issues do develop. So that's one of my concerns. And I'm going to, having no one on the property for periods of time is definitely a concern. I do, Trish is going to be my neighbor, and I definitely applaud her for what she does for the dogs. But I am counting on her to hold true to her commitment to the humans in the neighborhood too, because we really enjoy the quality of life that we enjoy in Desert Hills. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I hope that you were able to hear me, that I didn't hit a dead zone, and thank you.
We heard every word, so you were in the right area to address us today. So thank you for joining us today, Sandy. Appreciate it. Okay, and the last speaker slip I have in favor is Hannah Zarita. Did I get that? Or was that an R or an N? I got it. Great. If you could please join us at the microphone today. And please let us know if there's something that you haven't heard, you don't think the board has heard so far with your comments. Please let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Hannah, and I've been a volunteer specifically at the Irvine location for 3 years now. And I've seen hundreds of dogs come through this rescue over the last 3 years. The majority of them actually do come from Maricopa County shelters, which is something that we are very proud of. Our founder was a former volunteer at the shelter, and a large part of the reason she started this rescue was to assist the county with the great need that they have with the incredible amount of dogs that come through and the limited resources that the county has available. And we take in a lot of medical cases as well as pregnant dogs. We've taken actually 2 pregnant females from county in the same day. A week later, they gave birth to puppies. So very late-term pregnancy, as you can imagine, is not the ideal place in the county shelter, where we've been able to provide them a little bit calmer environment so that they can have those puppies. And those puppies have gone on, like Sandra has mentioned, several of them actually are therapy animals that are working in our community. And I think that's really important to highlight, that this rescue is not only impacting dogs' lives, but it's also impacting our community members' lives and our community service lives, such as the county and improving their ability to care and bring in more animals. I do understand the complaints about dogs barking. I live in Anthem, which is I'm a stone's throw away from the property, you know, I have dogs, and I have dogs that bark in my neighborhood. And while it can be an inconvenience, I think that the rescue is very passionate about making this a beneficial situation, not only for the rescue, but also the community members, in doing so with the walls and the specific rules that they've put in place.
Okay. Well, okay. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for making the drive here and watching your government at work. That's it for the speaker slips. I will turn over to the supervisor whose district this facility is in, Supervisor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering if Ashley might be able to come to the microphone for a question.
Okay, she's proceeding up to the microphone.
Thank you.
And Bill, she's at the microphone. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for being here today. Just wanted to know if you, because as was mentioned earlier, you know, I could certainly hear Sandy, and I'm assuming you heard her comments as well.
Chairman, Supervisor Gates, yes, we did hear those.
Yeah, just wondering if there's anything you would like to say in response to her that might address any of her concerns.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to address her concerns. So this site, and Supervisor Gates, I know you're a student of these materials and you've seen our site plan, is really a lot different than the conditions out there now. There is a huge investment ongoing at this property that includes a build out that mitigates a lot of the sound concern. There are individual training areas that are going to be completely enclosed. There will be a 6-foot CMU wall around those areas. There will be enclosed kennels with soundproofing, in addition to the new single-family residence. So if you look at the condition on the property now versus what it will be at build-out and the stipulations along with that, I really do feel that it's a different facility, and the use permit is the right way to go about this versus the home occupation, because then we're not caught in the middle of a change in someone living there. Tricia has a full-time person on site. Her name is Erica, who's there all the time. But under a home occupation, it would need to be Tricia. So having additional reinforcement through a special use permit does kind of hold our feet to the fire, which is the right way to go about this in a facility like this versus a home occupation, and allows a little bit more flexibility to make sure someone is on site, but that doesn't necessarily need to be Tricia. And along with the sound mitigation that's in place, I think this will really be a benefit to the county and to the site itself, and address a lot of those concerns, because it is a completely different facility than the modular home and the garages that are here now. We're proposing established kennels that are enclosed, that have the soundproofing, that have the CMU walls, that have the training facilities, with a set of stipulations that hold our feet to the fire.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the response, and I really do appreciate Sandy's constructive engagement on this and her comments. And I'm sure that if issues do come up, she'll be reaching out to us, and we can work together cooperatively. So with that, Mr. Chair, I am prepared to make a motion at this time.
Ashley, stay right there just in case. Okay. Go ahead. I believe there's any other questions from this board. Stay right there, Ashley. Okay, I'm looking for a motion.
All right. Mr. Chair, I would move approval of this item.
Thank you, Supervisor Gates. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And before I let you go, Ashley, we talk about the ever-burgeoning population and the growth of Maricopa County, and there's nothing better to see than a new resident on their way. So congratulations on the impending birth, and I'm only bringing this up because my chief said it was okay to bring it up because my wife said don't ever call out somebody that they're pregnant unless you know for sure. So there's the guy right there.
Well, thank you, Chairman. I appreciate that and the well wishes of the board, and I do appreciate you letting Supervisor Gates that I arrived at the podium and not waddled. So thank you very much.
That I know not to do after 3. Yes, Tom.
I just want to make a quick comment. I just want to thank and congratulate all the volunteers who came down here. Nice to see all those smiling faces. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for making Maricopa County a better place every single day. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Applaud your entrance.
Yeah.
You see, they already liked you. Okay, so if you guys want to file out, definitely go and have a great lunch here in the city of Phoenix. Thank you guys for coming and showing up today, and all of us do appreciate the work that you do in the shelter system. It certainly takes a load off our pound people, so appreciate it. All right. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay. As we file out, or as they file out, I want to bring, some of you are new here, and I want to bring something to your attention. At the last meeting, there were some suggestions made, and I think we acted on as many as we could. There's now water easily available with cups. I heard that. And a few other things. I'll welcome Karen Hartman-Tellez. She is pinch hitting for the Maricopa County Attorney's Office as our open meetings lawyer. You will see that she is sitting up close to the dais, so I can continue to make eye contact with her, and so can the speakers that are coming up. I feel this is important because I did issue a little thing. I went a little bit very, I don't know, with grace to let people come up and address this board on agenda items, but I did call attention and said, and told everyone straight out, we are going to keep this germane to the agenda item. And germane to the agenda item usually means that you've researched the agenda item and you'd like us to know something about it, not as a spin into something else, okay? So I'll be looking to our county attorney's office. I want to have the rules of the road. Item number 2, you will notice that there is a speaker clock. That will be enforced. It's not enforced on P&Z items because these items usually have an applicant. We get to talk. We get to hear the concerns of these things that are going to maybe impact neighbors. But now is the time as we go into the agenda items, we will enforce a 2-minute time frame. Now, Madam Clerk, you just showed me how many speaker slips do we have now germane to agenda items?
Chairman, Supervisors, I have 7 speaker forms related to specific agenda items, and 3 have several items that this person would like to comment on.
Okay, so I will make sure that the county attorney's office understands this area of the thing is totally up to the chairman and the chairman of the board to allow public comment and to also allow speaking. And I feel strongly that the people need to be heard. But I'm not also going to just allow our meetings to go extremely long just for microphone time, okay? So I want everyone to know that. I'm going to be a little bit rough today if these items on the agenda have not been heavily researched and with salient points that you want the board to know. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with the rest of the agenda. Under Clerk of the Board, statutory hearings, item 11, liquor license application, acquisition of control for A, Black Bear Diner, and B, Tonopah Travel Center. Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers or comments received on items 11A and B?
Chairman, I have none for these items.
Thank you. The board will now consider items 11A and B.
Move approval.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. I think both of these places are in my district, so apparently there's always a party in District 4. So still under statutory hearings, under Clerk of the Board, 12, impact statement hearing for the proposed Grove Park Estates Irrigation Water Delivery District. Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers or comments received on items 12?
Chairman, Supervisors, we did receive 2 email comments regarding this item, one from Brett Bacon in favor and one from David Davis in opposition, and these comments were shared with all the board offices. I do have 2 speaker forms. One is from Jody Jensen, representing SRP, and she is available to answer any questions if necessary. I also received a speaker form from Joan Paisley, and she only wants to register her position in favor for this item.
Okay. Well then, let me add, whose district is this?
Fine.
And okay.
District 2.
Thank you, Tom. Tom, what's your pleasure?
I don't believe we have any speakers in opposition,
Not in the facility.
Correct.
so I'm ready to make a motion for approval.
Okay. So I hear a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. We will now move on to item number 13. Under Clerk of the Board, 13 is a de-annexation from the town of Gilbert to Maricopa County. Item 14 is road file declaration. A is road file number 4426-R.2. 15 to 17 is a patent easement abandonment road file number PAB 0230, PAB 0224, PAB 0220. Madam Clerk, are there any registered speakers or comments received on items 13 through 17?
Chairman, I do have a speaker form from Blue Crawley to speak on item 13. However, he did not mark if he is in favor or in opposition.
Then we will bring up Mr. Crawley, and he can state his position. Thank you, Blue. Thank you for joining us today.
And I will be on item specific. I've got the Transit Life Cycle Program policy change recommendations from RPTA, and what it has is jurisdictional equity, right? And one of the equities is for Maricopa County. And it's only 0.65% of all the bus funding, and I have a little problem with that. And when I asked them where the counties was in this jurisdictional equity, because we have West Valley, Central, and East Valley, and they said all the county stuff is going to the Central and West Valley. Well, then when I look at the Central, all of that is Phoenix. When I see that you guys are going to be taking over that roadway, I'm looking at Power as one of the ones that does have a bus on it. I need you to be more proactive in that, but when it shows here in the East Valley, zip. Now, I keep on banging the drum on that you guys need to be doing it according to traffic patterns, et cetera. And I still don't see that that's what's going to be happening. But when it comes to this specific roadway, when is the county going to be installing the bus furniture? When is the county going to make sure that there's bicycle facilities? Because according to this, none of the funds from Prop 400 go to you for that, and that's not the way it should be.
Blue, thank you for joining us today. Okay, so I have put that out there, items 13 through 17. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 13 through 17.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Tom. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Under County Officers, Board of Supervisors, 18 through 19, resignation from and appointments to the Board of Health. Number 20, reappointment to the Audit Advisory Committee. 21, reappointment to the Community Development Advisory Committee. 22, resignation and appointment of public fiduciary. Under Clerk of the Board, 23 through 27, special event licenses for Pathway to Work, Anthem Rotary Foundation, Knights of Columbus Council 12144, Clean Up Papago, and World Ride.
Excuse me, Chairman. I have two speaker forms. Jeff Caldwell and Marissa Hamilton both would like to speak on item number 19.
Okay. I will call Mr. Hamilton. Well, I'm sorry, Mr.
Caldwell.
Caldwell. I'm sorry, Mr. Caldwell. Thank you for joining us today.
Chair, Supervisors, thank you very much for allowing us to speak and gracious for, the ability to speak here as well. So I was researching the two candidates and I was unable to find information on their stances regarding mask mandates and vaccine mandates and lockdowns. And so I am worried or concerned about those stances, and that is why I am here, is because I was unable to find what their beliefs are regarding these issues. And especially with the media now upping the ratchet on the COVID numbers. And so I was very curious to see if we would be able to get that information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hamilton.
Chairman, members, my name is Marissa Hamilton, and I am speaking on behalf of myself. I echo Mr. Caldwell's questions that he has, but in addition to that, one of the concerns that I have also has to do with child mutilation, which is popularly called gender-affirming care, and what their stances are on this. In addition to that,
okay.
though, I'd like to know.
I'm going to keep that. There's relevance here. So
that is the health board, right? And isn't that
we're talking about appointments and resignations from the health board. That's not having to do with the topic.
It is, because a health board would deal with issues of health for children. Is that not correct?
I will let you complete your statement in 2 minutes, and I just want to know this is about some people that we could be appointing. So please go ahead.
Yes, but it's about appointing them to the health board, to be specific. So this is pertinent to this agenda item, because caring about the health of children should be one of the top priorities that we have as a county. And you serve with the consent of the governed, and the governed pay the taxes that fund these projects. Additionally, I'd like to know what the process was to appoint the people to this health board. What is the process that all of you do? We know that when you've done appointments to the legislature, for example, you go through a very thorough process with a background check. It takes several weeks to complete it. So I'd like to understand what that process is, and also would like to hear from the appointees as to what their health stances are, how they're going to protect our freedom, and what their basis is in the Constitution protections that we are provided in this state. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is that in for 18 through 27?
Correct. No other speaker forms.
Okay, great. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 18 through 27 with a couple of comments.
Okay, you have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Steve. Vice Chairman Sellers.
Yeah, first of all, on Don Casino, who's resigning from the board. He served there since 1997. Really appreciate his service. But I'm today appointing Cynthia Hardy, and she is here with us today. and her husband, Pastor Victor Hardy. The two of them are some of the most outstanding members of my community that I can even talk about. Victor Hardy, Pastor Hardy, is the leader of the Congregational Church of the Valley, and they host all kinds of community functions there, from sister city organizations. They're just really the kind of citizens that every community would love to have. So I'm very, very pleased that Cynthia is willing to serve on this board, and I know that she will be outstanding in her service. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. So any other comments? If not,
Mr. Chairman, I just want to quickly acknowledge and congratulate District 5 and Mr. David Galavis for once again serving the community. So congrats to him. Thank you.
Yeah. Now you're making me look bad for not saying anything. No. Thank you, Supervisor Galvin, for pointing that out. Yeah, David is working double duty to serve the people of Maricopa County. So I know he works real hard. It's not even just an 8 to 5. He's in his evening time where most folks are with their family and friends. He's serving the people of Maricopa County. So thank you, David, for doing what you do.
great. Thank you. So we do have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Bill. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. I'll explain my vote. As if anyone paid attention over the last 12 years, I have constantly looked in my community, in my district, for people to serve roles, often volunteering to serve roles, to be able to listen to the community and weigh in, have discussions, and help us set policy. But we do look at this with open eyes. We are finding the greatest people in the community that are willing to serve and be a part of the community, be a part of discussions, and we get to a good place that way. So I appreciate anybody at this point in this world being willing to serve in these types of capacities for all of their communities. So I appreciate everybody coming on board to serve these vital roles for us as supervisors and for the county taxpayers and residents. Okay. County officers, clerk of the board continue, 28 through 29, application for Boulder Creek High School fireworks display. Number 30, permanent extension of premises patio for Anacapa Grill at Cortobella. Under county attorney, 31, federal equitable sharing agreement. 32, appointments. 33, agreement with Phoenix Children's Hospital. And under recorder, number 34, appropriation adjustment for grant funding.
Excuse me, Chairman. I have speaker forms from Marissa Hamilton and Jeff Caldwell regarding item number 33 and 34.
On item number 33 and 34, they want to speak on both items?
Yes.
Okay. If you, so can I have the speaker slip? Or is this the ones that are several things numbered? Several things. Okay. Please, whichever of you two would like to come up first.
Are we doing both or one?
Marissa Hamilton, if you guys, in order to speed things up, if you want to come closer to the microphone, if you have several things to address with us, so you don't have to keep walking so far, there's seats available.
Chair, supervisors, I fully support your agreement with Phoenix Children's Hospital. This is a very good contract, and we wanted to just give you praise on entering this contract because you are helping protect children with abuse. And so this is a huge issue for me, and we greatly appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Ms. Hamilton.
Chair, members, my name is Marissa Hamilton, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself. I have a great amount of experience dealing with Phoenix Children's Hospital, and I do want to praise our county attorney, Rachel Mitchell, on pursuing making sure that children are safe and that we have the proper protocols in ensuring that children that are victims of sexual abuse are able to get the justice that they deserve. I myself am a survivor of sexual violence, both as a child and as an adult, and these are very, very critical issues. My concern, though, with the agreement itself is Phoenix Children's Hospital also has a track record of not protecting parental rights. And what I mean by that is usually there's an adult victim in these situations also. And so I'm just concerned with some of the that there aren't stipulations in here as to what the patient's rights are. And I think that contracts should include patient's rights. When I worked at the City of Phoenix, this is something that I brought to the attention of Phoenix Children's Hospital. They do not have a significant process that when there are issues that happen for their patients and in these investigations for someone to be able to get proper help. In fact, when this has happened in the past, they've actually then proceeded to be very aggressive against parents that are the victim parent in the situation and have even sought to take away the rights of those parents for questioning and making sure that their children are okay. So I think that I think that Phoenix Children's Hospital needs to go back and look at those policies, and that should be included in this agreement so that we are protecting children and parents and making sure all of the victims involved are protected. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Hamilton. Okay, I am trying to run this meeting and keeping my eye on the agenda and making sure everybody is heard. I need to go back at the pleasure of the board, I hope. I need to go back to item number 22, if you could flip back, because I missed an opportunity that pointing out the citizens and the people that work in such vital areas. So item number 22 is the resignation and appointment of the public fiduciary. And I just want to talk about somebody and that's been awfully important to this county in her role. Josephine Jones has been a tireless public servant for over 30 years. Josephine is a respected attorney and leader in mental health court. She has the distinction of serving in both the county attorney's office and in the Office of Public Defense Services. She also served as the deputy director at the Office of the Public Advocate. Josephine joined public fiduciary in the midst of the pandemic, which brought the office unprecedented situations for its wards and its staff. She's done a tremendous job leading that office for the last 3 years. Through Josephine's professional accomplishments, though Josephine's professional accomplishments are remarkable on their own, what is even more impactful is who she is as a person and as a leader. When asked, her staff shared this: Josephine leads with an open heart, a passion for serving the underserved, and a willingness to learn or do any tasks that would better the office, its staff, or the lives of our wards. They described mornings when Josephine could be found at reception routing phone calls throughout the office to keep business operations going and going out of her way to make sure to personally meet with staff at all levels. There is not a staff member at Public Fiduciary who has not been made better through their interactions with her, which is incredibly important for our managers that get to serve as mentors to people coming up and understanding the passions that go with these jobs. She's a brilliant attorney, she's a staunch advocate, and just a wonderful person. And on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we want to recognize you today, Josephine. I am so sorry, and I know as a public fiduciary, you have public speaking skills. So if you would like to come up, yes, and come up and address the board, because we have a plaque for you. And I'd like to get a picture, and I'm sure the board would love to have a picture with you. So thank you for joining us today and being celebrated.
I did not know I was going to be celebrated. So
Well, I had to get back to it. I've skimmed right over it, and so sorry about
And I
that.
was moving on in the agenda and checking things out.
I know, you went right into the business.
It popped right back up. So, well, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I was not expecting this. I've been serving in the county, I've been working for about 31 years, and 28 of those years have been here in Maricopa County. It has been an absolute privilege to be able to serve the citizens of our county in my multiple roles throughout the many years. But in addition to that, as you heard, I've done a number of things. It's because I have stayed in the county and I've worked here because I've really respected our leadership in the county at every turn. I've seen different administrations, I've worked under different individuals, but I've always respected the leadership in our county. So I would like to say thank you for allowing me these many different opportunities throughout all these years. And I will miss my time here in Maricopa County. It's time to spend a little more time with my family, and I'm looking forward to that. So to all of you who continue to serve the citizens, thank you. It's been a privilege to work with all of you these many years.
Awesome, thank you. So if the board can join me, and Val, if you could join.
Here, okay. I do wear my heart on my sleeve, too.
Well, don't make me cry, and especially not Tom. You bet. Steve, come over here.
Thank you very much.
Next one. This is one of those times where I've come from a family business. I'm participating in a family business, and there's a family business called the County 2 every morning for me, and then the family business in the afternoon out in the West Valley. So this is truly a family, and I appreciate all of you guys' hard work, and especially when we get the very rare chance to celebrate in such a tough field as public fiduciary. So thank you for leading and trending that department. And it's just a fantastic, great example of customer service. All right. Now I'm going to go back and try to remember where I was. I think,
34.
Which one are we at?
34.
34, and that is another item that Mr. Caldwell and Ms. Hamilton wish to speak on.
Okay, under the record. Well, thank you. So we took our vote with up to item 33?
No
or
votes
no?
yet.
Okay, so back over to item 34, the appropriation adjustment for grant funding. We have two speaker slips, right?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Caldwell and Ms. Hamilton.
Ms. Hamilton, you can go first, and please make yourself available to open seats that are closer to the microphone. Welcome.
Chairman, Supervisors, in the attachments that were attached to this agenda item, there's an email. And in that email, it says that, it's a question to the treasurer. It asks, is there a grant administrator that can provide guidance on whether an item or service to be purchased is allowable under the grant, and what are the reporting requirements? The Treasury didn't really have an answer back to that, but the description that you put in didn't really expound on what items or services would be purchased. And I did review the other attachments, and that wasn't very specific. Also, what are the benchmarks? How many voters have already been cleaned up on the voter rolls? What is the expectation for this money to be used? How many voters are expected to be cleaned up? How often will you get reporting back from the recorder on this allocation? And really, it comes down to transparency and accountability to the taxpayers, so that we can understand how this money benefited us. And I just want to thank the recorder for working on this issue. It's a very important issue. I myself have found lots of issues with the voter rolls. But I think we need accountability, especially understanding what items and services are to be purchased under this agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Caldwell.
Chair, Supervisors, thank you very much for this grant. It is an increase from my understanding, and so I also share the concerns that we do need to know what this money is going to be spent on and what contracts are being put in place. But I echo the same concerns with the amount of people that they're trying to get off the voter rolls in terms of how many they expect to be bad. And so I have investigated voter rolls in the past, and there are large discrepancies sometimes, and so I do greatly appreciate that this money is going to be put forth a good effort. And so with that being said, I'd like to echo the concerns that Marissa Hamilton brought forth, and I want to also thank you very much for cleaning the voter rolls. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Okay, I don't know if I've asked for a motion, so items 28 through 34, do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Thank you, and thank you. I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Bill. Any opposed? I didn't hear that, so I think that's a 5-0 unanimous vote, and so very good. Motion carries. Under County Officers, Sheriff, 35, funding reimbursement from Phoenix PD, 36 through 37. Amend agreement with the Arizona Department of Corrections, the Arizona Department of Homeland Security, 38 through 41. MOU agreement IGAs with Maricopa County Office of Enterprise Technology, Arizona State University, City of Tempe, City of Avondale, City of Buckeye, City of Goodyear, 42 through 43 donations, 44 contingency for court-ordered fund transfers.
Chairman, I do have a speaker form from Jeff Caldwell and Marissa Hamilton. They wish to speak on item 41.
Okay, Mr. Caldwell. And I would like, is the Arizona Department of Corrections, are they still going by that title? We might want to just check into that because I know it's a heading, so.
We will check.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Caldwell.
Chair, Supervisors, I want to also thank you very much for this contract as well. This is going to prioritize rescuing children from sex trafficking and help get more victims help. So I just wanted to voice my support for this item and greatly appreciate putting forth the effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Ms. Hamilton.
Members, again, or chairman members, thank you for this grant. Again, as a survivor of sexual violence and someone that's advocated for children and sex trafficking victims, this is a good start, but I hope that this isn't the end, because Arizona has one of the highest rates of sex trafficking victims in the nation, and that's a large part due to our border and the fact that our drug cartels are essentially allowed to roam free in our state to a great extent. They even have, there's There's parts along our land that has signs that says only drug cartels can be there. The victims of what these people go through is tremendous. Many times they don't even recognize that they're victims, and they've been in forced sex slavery for such a long time from such young ages. So I would like to see that this grant be enhanced and that more money be invested into this issue. It was just, I think, a couple of months ago that you invested $5 million to house illegal immigrants. Maybe that money could be better applied to this issue instead. We really need to prioritize stopping sex trafficking, especially of children. And just one last other point is that when I did the Phoenix Civilian Police Program and the FBI Civilian Program, both of them said that most child victims come from group homes. And so I'd like to see them included in these type of grants also to make sure that we can protect kids. This is a very important issue. So thank you for the start on this, but I hope that this is not the end.
Well, and thank you for, I'm sorry about the space that you've had to inhabit in as you preface the thing. So my condolences to your experience in this field. So if Ms. Hamilton, if I would, I'm trying to keep the meeting going. Please, there's open seats. Please take a seat up front so we can move faster to your comments.
I will take that into consideration, but I did like the long walk to the water fountain, and so I'm taking my steps today, so thanks for that.
I am very glad that you have access to water. So, county officer, okay, so we have 35 through 44. The board will now consider items 35 through 44.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 35 through 44.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, thank you, Bill. Any opposed? I didn't hear that. We have 5 ayes and good. So then let's go on to then item under the treasurer, county officers, 45, offer on tax deeded land parcel 500-03-269H. The board will now consider item 45.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Jack. We have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Under county officers, treasurer again, 46. Number 46 is offer on tax deeded land parcel 104820006. The board will now consider item 46, and I am asked is there a motion to accept one of the offers? As a note, offer number 2 from Laura Martini et al. For $400 is the highest offer.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we accept offer number 2 from Laura Martini in the amount of $400.
Thank you, Steve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Madam Clerk, do we have to do a voice vote, or is it on something like this?
Chairman, I believe with just the motion, we're good.
Just a motion and a second? Okay. So we do have a motion and a second to accept offer number 2 from Laura Martini. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Under judicial branch, we have adult probation, 47, early termination of lease. Under justice courts, 48, Maricopa County Justice Court name changes. Under Superior Court, 49 through 50, appointment of Superior Court commissioners as Superior Court Judge Pro Tem. The board will now consider items 47 through 50.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 47 through 50.
Thank you, Jack. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Go ahead.
I second. I just want to make a quick comment on number 48.
Okay, great. So we have a second. Go ahead.
Just want to say I'm just looking forward to the new name, the Ocotillo Regional Center. I think customer service is always paramount for us, so doing something like this, which is seemingly simple but is vitally important, and just want to say how proud we are for this new facility that's now up and running, and just another example of everyone working together to make sure the wheels of justice move on.
Great. Thank you, Tom.
Mr. Chairman,
Steve.
Once again, just want to echo what Supervisor Galvin said with the downtown justice court. name change of one of the justice courts, the downtown court, out of the downtown facility. This has been something that has been of strong concerns with everybody in that facility. A lot of confusion with the taxpayers, constituents that are going down to utilize that facility. So this clears up a lot of confusion. Just thanking all the JPs or the judges, constables working together to come up with consensus on the new name, El Centro. Thank you all for your hard work. This has been a long debate around that one little court. So I'm just happy to see that everyone came to consensus and we have a new name.
Great. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, under County Management, Assistant County Manager Valerie Beckett, who joins us today as the acting county manager, as Jen Pekorski is out of town. Okay, so thank you for joining us. 51, budget adjustment for the Industrial Development Board Shared Governance Agreement revisions. The board will now consider item 51.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of item number 51.
Second.
Good. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Under County Offices, Air Quality 52, FY23 Annual Permitting Report. Under Correctional Health 53, MOU with Molina Healthcare, Inc.
Excuse me, Chairman. I do have speaker forms for item number 52. One is from Blue Crawley, and the other speaker form is from Diane Barker, both for 52.
Both for 52?
Yes.
Well then, welcome Diane Barker. I will call Diane up. Always a good morning with Ms. Barker. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chairman Hickman and Board of Supervisors. I'm in the non-attainment area of District 5 for pollutants, and one of them happens to be ozone, which is an emission. Under this annual permitting report, I stand in support for Phil McNeely to be in receipt of this, and I researched the Arizona statute, specifically 49-471-14 just says rule or ordinance. So in looking up the permits for 2023, my summary month to month, it looks like that, you have like 3 to 7 or maybe even 10 permits given out, and they say minor, different businesses, and then you have settlements. And you have double of that, so we have people probably in longer term in business, and some of them are big business. And so I'm asking for the cooperation of all these businesses in the long term that are doing business in Maricopa County, the largest county in the United States, one of the fastest growing too, look to be more stringent in our air quality. I did participate today in alternative rather than our single occupancy vehicles, which it's like the canary in the coal mine. Our saguaros are dropping dead. I'm on some lines with groups that are backyard, farming and like this, and they're saying, oh, you're watering it or anything. Nobody has mentioned ozone. Ozone does affect plants as humans and like this. And so I'm saying that's a sign. It is a symbol of the Great West, and we're unique in the Sonoran Desert. We need to come together and watch our trips.
Thank you, Diane. I appreciate you being here today. Thank you for that. Blue Crawley, welcome.
Well, thank you. Reiterating everything that Diane said, but she pointed some things out to me before the meeting, and it was the reason that I put my application in for this one specific. We're under an ozone alert, aren't we? We're in Sirius. And when it comes to burning, middle of September is when we can go back to barbecues and fire pits and the rest of it. One of the jobs of government is transportation. That is not just building a road. And with the air quality in this area, I'd just like to say, because of that ozone. How many of you have a little headache across the head How many of you have eye pain? That's ozone. And how is it produced? Tail emissions. And what are we doing about it? This new Prop 400 thing, I love it. It says in there that we're going to get 10% return from farebox, and 15, and then 20%. And right now, how much do we get from farebox? It's not there to make a profit. It's there to move people from point A to point B and to clean up the air. When I look at the Prop 400 extension in that, I have some real problems on supporting it, because when I see the organization that is going to be looking over the air quality and that, as I pointed out to you, Jack, we got people from housing, we got people from roads, we've got you guys on it. The legislature appoints people. Is there anybody there that's there for transit? Where's that person advocating and saying these are where the monies need to go? It's not happening. You need to get this done better and done right, and hopefully clean up the air.
Blue, thank you. Thank you, Blue. Appreciate it. Okay, the board will now consider items 52 and 53.
Move for approval of items 52 and 53.
Thank you, Jack, and thank you, Steve. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any nays? Okay, heard 5-0. Motion passes, motion carries. Item number 54, elections, precinct committeemen. Is there any speaker slips before?
None for this item, Chairman.
Okay, I just wanted to alert my board to this. This continues to come up during these meetings about the process. And I did have a meeting with people in my district. They brought up some issues to us and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. So I am requesting a continuing. When is the next date for a formal board meeting?
September 13th.
September 13th. I'm going to ask my board to make a motion for continuance for the meeting on this item for September 13th. Is that what you said?
That's correct.
September 13th. I do believe we need to seek a little bit more of legal advice when it comes to this. So I am asking my board for a continuance to chase down a couple things about this item.
Mr. Chairman, I will make the motion. I will say I was ready to vote on this today, but I appreciate the issues that you highlighted. So the motion to move it to September 13th.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second for continuance. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Steve?
Oh, no, I'm with y'all.
Okay.
Let's continue it so I can vote no later on.
I don't know if that gets you there, but we just need to look into a couple things. Okay, motion carries, and we will look for the issue on September 13th. Under Emergency Management, 55, Department of Homeland Security Grant. Number 56, Subrecipient Agreement with Securing the City's Jurisdictional Partners. 57, Addition of FTEs to Security Services. Under Finance, 58, Funds, Transfers, and Warrants. Number 59, Amended and Restated IGA with the Industrial Development Authority. Under Human Resources, number 60, Amend Premium Pay Rates. Number 61, Revision to Compensation Policy HR 2470. The board will now consider items 55 through 61.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 55 through 61.
Second.
Thank you, Jack.
Second, with a quick comment.
Well, I'll give the second to Supervisor Gallardo, but a comment.
Sure thing. I just want to thank staff and everyone, including my colleagues here, on item number 59. I think the changes and the improvements and the adjustments we've been making with the Industrial Development Authority have been very important. And I want to highlight our colleague, Steve Gallardo, who first brought up some issues, and I hope he's seen in the spirit of comedy that we've all been working together in cooperation. So I want to say thank you to everyone on this.
Great. Thank you, Tom. So we do have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, under Human Services, 62 through 64, amend agreements, contracts, and IGA with Boys and Girls Club of the Valley, ARM of Save the Family Foundation of Arizona, City of Peoria. 65 and 66 are IGAs with the City of Avondale and the Law College Association of University of Arizona. Under Procurement Services, 67 through 71, contracts, IGAs with Reprographic Services, Vehicle Replacement Program. Homeless Outreach and Navigation Program, NEO GOV Recruiting Services, and Auditing and Consulting Services. The board will now consider items 62 through 71.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes.
I do have a speaker form from Jeff Caldwell and Marissa Hamilton. Mr. Caldwell would like to speak on item number 66 and 68, and Marissa would like to speak on item number 68.
Okay, Mr. Hamilton.
Chair, Supervisors.
Sorry, what did I call you? Mr. Caldwell, I'm
Thank
sorry.
you. So I am concerned with the contract on number 66. I know it's a nonprofit organization, but it does not include verbiage to prevent them from using the funds for forced labor out of China. And I know that the law says that clause is supposed to be in contracts with for-profit organizations, but it is an open grant. And so another concern that I have is I4J is stationed in Tucson, and they also have an organization in Utah. And so I believe that this contract needs to have provisions in it for them to use the monies in Maricopa County and make sure that the money stays in our county. So those are my two concerns, and I believe that is all I have on that. Thank you very much.
We'll go ahead and hit your second topic that you registered to speak for.
All right, so 68. Chair, Supervisors, as I mentioned previously, there is a clause in this contract that prevents contractors from purchasing products from forced labor in China, but we need to make sure that the verbiage is accurate. The state law says specifically Xinjiang, and the contract is focused specifically on the people. And so there's a mislabeling, in my opinion, of the contract, and that is carried forth through all the other contracts. And with that, we need verification that they do not utilize parts and labor from that area in China. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hamilton.
Supervisor, members, this agreement doesn't, I should just qualify this. My background is, my professional background is in the supply chain, in the food service industry and the transportation industry, and I helped to develop national and now international standards for chain of custody and traceability. I was tasked with having to identify, to make sure that we had the documentation on all products to ensure that it didn't come from slave labor and things like that. So I had to work with helping to create standards and certifications for this. This agreement is not sufficient to protect from slave labor, especially there's no mention of it from Congo. And I recently met a gentleman from Congo and went through what's happening there. It's not enough to have a certification, and I've also reviewed this with the City of Phoenix and the what the federal stipulations are. The federal stipulation just says that they need to have a certificate, says that it's unlikely that materials didn't come from that. It doesn't, though, this agreement doesn't specify that it also needs to include raw materials. And so I would recommend that you update your agreements, because right now our tax dollars are most likely going to slave labor when it comes to cobalt especially, because 69% of cobalt comes from slave labor. And so until we're putting in our agreements that they have to maintain chain of custody documentation and traceability documentation down to the raw material acquisition, you will not know that your money didn't go to, or our money didn't go to slave labor. I can almost guarantee from a professional perspective that right now it is. And I think that we need to make sure that we stop green slavery in its tracks, and we, the United States, have the power to do that. So I would implore you to please be the people that stand up in history and say we will not support slavery with our tax dollars any further, and put in legitimate stipulations to protect us from that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So the board will now consider items 62 through 71.
You already have a motion?
Did I have?
No motion. Oh, Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we approve items 62 through 71.
Thank you, Steve. Have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. Hearing none, motion carries. Supervisor Gardo, I just got a note. Are you getting close to having to leave?
I will call in though, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
So.
Well, whenever you're.
Yeah, we're waiting. I'm waiting for that from the clerk's office.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to Public Health, 72, contract with Mayo Clinic, 73 through 76, amend contract agreements with Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation, Capella University, Deer Valley Unified School District, Dignity Health, 77, purchase order to IGA with Arizona Department of Health Services, 78, grant funds for health services and resource administration, 79, IGA with the Arizona Department of Health Services.
Chairman, I have speaker forms for item number 72 from Jeff Caldwell and Marissa Hamilton.
Okay, Mr. Caldwell.
Chair, Supervisors, the contract with the Mayo Clinic specifically states that they are going to create a policy that benefits them. It doesn't say the people of Maricopa County or those that they are interested in assessing. And so I have major concerns that there's going to be some sort of favoritism of the Mayo Clinic versus the public. I also believe that the Mayo Clinic is going to put forth biased material based off of predetermined sociological interpretations of our structure of society. They have listed in this in the contract that they believe in the Healthy People 2030 and Public Health 3.0 initiatives. And so those initiatives specifically state that we have structural racism and systemic bias, and that is health.gov/healthypeople. So I'm very concerned with this contract, and I would greatly appreciate it if you guys worked on this and made sure that the Mayo Clinic represents all citizens equally in Maricopa County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Ms. Hamilton.
Supervisor members, I hope that your stipulation that our comments are well researched, that you see that we did meet and exceed that requirement today, that we have actually read these agreements. One of the other stipulations that are in that World Economic Forum health program is equity. And what we just saw in Hawaii is that having policies built around equity leads to people being murdered by their government. And so we need to make sure that we are not prioritizing, we need to learn that lesson and make sure that we aren't prioritizing our health policy around equity. Equity doesn't mean that everyone that needs the care gets the care that they need. And the Supreme Court also just shot down DEI policies. So why are we making agreements that are based on things that our Supreme Court just shot down and just led to like the terrible tragedy that we saw in Hawaii? Like, we got to do better than this. These are our tax dollars. We need accountability. I hope you guys actually read these agreements and read the agenda that you are attaching our tax dollars to. This is not going to lead to good health in Maricopa County. And with the decisions that you made during COVID, our county is much worse off than what it was before. And a lot of those decisions were based around equity. So I would ask for you to reevaluate what your priorities are. If it is about having a Maricopa County that thrives, then please abandon this 2030 proposal and go to actual science-based health priorities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, I'm asking for a motion now for items 72 through 79.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of items 72 through 79.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. I see you're getting the heave ho sign. So Steve, join us with you can. Okay. So if we can make sure he has arrangements to call in and listen in. I will also tell all of our agency heads that are here, we will try to continue to get through this. If you don't have a germane item on the agenda that you're keeping an eye on for your group, I'm looking at Jesse, whose transportation comes next. If you guys need to get to your jobs, you take this time to go ahead and get back to your jobs so we can continue on. Under transportation, number 80, road abandonment road file number AB-35881, acquisition of tax deeded parcels for transportation purposes. Under 82, IGA with the City of Phoenix. 83, amend agreement for Sunstream's Expansion LLC. Number 84, easement, right-of-way, and relocation assistance documents.
Chairman, I do have speaker forms. I have one from Blue Crawley. He would like to speak on item 82. And I have a speaker form from Marissa Hamilton and Jeff Caldwell. Both would like to speak on item 83.
Okay, great. So we'll bring Blue up, item number 82, IGA with the City of Phoenix. Mr. Crawley.
Ding, 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 ding. All right. City of Phoenix construction of traffic signal at Indian School and 99th Avenue. I got the proposed changes in the transit program here. It's got, you remember the document I've showed you, Jack? It said in 06, Litchfield Road, Queen Creek, and 99th Avenue. When you were at the RPTA meeting this last Thursday, when it had proposed changes, was Litchfield Road or 99th in there? No. Why? Well, it says that you guys get your money according to the jurisdictional equity. And when I look at, and it says in multiple times in here that the county is going to be paying for all rural routes and that, and then the amount of equity you have is 0.65. And when I look at Paradise Valley, which, you know how much transit they have there in Paradise Valley, none if they could get away with it. But Paradise Valley is just the same amount as the county. And when like I said, I look at 99th and Indian School, we do have buses going on Indian School, but where is that 99th Avenue one? And why aren't we doing the job that you're supposed to do? The document that we gave you back in the 80s had it that each of the communities could have circulators and connectors.
Lou, thank you.
It's not that way anymore.
Okay, thank you. Juanita, did I have another speaker?
Yes, Marissa Hamilton and Jeff Caldwell, both for item 83.
Go ahead and call Ms. Hamilton. I'll put you first this time.
Chairman, members, on item number 83, I did meet with APS in relation to this, the issue of green slavery, and there is not the existence of a chain of custody or traceability to ensure that the materials that that this contract eventually ends up funding do not come from slave labor. This is something that we need to take seriously. It is concerning that you completely disregard what our tax dollars are going to. Slavery was supposed to have been ended a long time ago, and we have more slavery existing today than ever in human history. This isn't just slavery of adults, it's also slavery of children. And so we have the power to be able to stop this and put in the right chain of custody and traceability requirements to end this horrid industry and make sure that people are protected. This is a human right. This is about human dignity, and we need to do better. So I would implore you to take a closer look at your agreements and make sure that we have chain of custody and traceability requirements in all of the documentation, and that you're doing regular audits on this so that we can be assured that you're not funding slavery. Thank you very much.
Mr. Caldwell.
Chair, Supervisors, SunStreams provides solar power to APS and utilities that serve citizens of Maricopa County. They have actually multiple companies and specifically different numbers of SunStream. And so it needs to be verified and guaranteed that none of their solar panels or any of their solar panel materials are imported from Xinjiang, China, or any other location with forced labor before any other agreement is finalized between Maricopa County and SunStreams. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so items 83 through 84, the board will now consider these items.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 80 through 84.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jack. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Thank you, Bill. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Is Supervisor Gallardo gotten on the phone yet, or? He's going to call in? Okay. Jesse, Mitch, thank you guys for joining us today and from McDOT. Appreciate it. Under consent agenda, 85 through 97, cancellation of election and appointments to the Board of Trustees and Directors is listed in the agenda. 98 through 99 is duplicate warrants, still dated warrants. 100 to 101, donations. 102 is delinquent property tax interest waiver. Number 103 is minutes. Number 104 is tax abatements. The board will now consider items 85 through 104.
Mr. Chairman, I move items 85 through 104.
Okay. And Supervisor Gallardo, yes, please put us on mute. Thank you for joining us. I think that was you. So we can't, did I just ask the board consider? I just got taken off my game by.
I made the motion.
You made the motion. Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second? Thank you, Jack. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Still under consent agenda 105, settlement resolution of property tax cases and claims. It does say Supervisor Gates is to recuse himself on item number 105. Bill, are you recusing yourself?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I will look to your staff to get you back on the phone, so if you could please leave the meeting for a second. Okay, the board will now consider item 105.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jack. I have a motion, a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries to our county attorney's office. I think I only heard 3 voices, but that's still a quorum. Yes? Okay. Okay, we will invite Bill back to the electronic dais. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for rejoining, Bill. All right. Under Board of Supervisors Addendum, under Assistant County Manager Leanne Bone. And thank you for joining us today, Leanne. 106, Maricopa County Workforce Development Board Shared Governance Agreement revisions. Human Resources 107, Market Ranges. Under County Attorney 108, Melendres et al. Versus Maricopa County et al. Attorney's fees. The board will now consider items 106 through 108.
So moved.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jack. I have a motion. I'm sorry, Bill, did you second that?
I tried.
Okay, well, I'll give it to you. Okay.
Thank you.
You made the second. All right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Great. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And look how Bill Gates jumps to when I talk about Leanne Bone. That was for you, Leanne. Thanks for your hard work in the space. All right, we will recess as the Board of Supervisors, and convene as the Flood Control District Board of Directors under Flood Control District 109 and IGA with the City of Mesa. 110, acquisition of a tax deeded parcel for flood control purposes. Number 111, minutes. Number 112, easement, right-of-way, and relocation assistance documents. The board will now consider items 109 through 112.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve items 109 through 112. I'd like to make a comment about 109.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jack. Supervisor Galvin.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just want to thank everyone who worked on this item, this IGA with the City of Mesa. This is regarding this flood mitigation project that is located at the intersection of Stapley Drive and Broadway Road. This project will be helpful to the City of Mesa, which is in District 2, as they will continue to improve several of their storm drain systems. And I appreciate the Flood Control District partnering with Mesa on this project. And I appreciate all the hard work from the Assistant County Manager, Darcy Kober, and the FCD team on these projects. I just want to thank everyone for their hard work on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Great, thank you, Bill. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We will now adjourn as the Flood Control District Board of Directors and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors. Item number 113 is the public comment period. Before I ask Juanita if she has any comments, I would like the County Attorney's Office to point out the rules of the road for public comment period.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the time set for public comment. Pursuant to the Arizona Open Meeting Law, public comment is a privilege offered at the discretion of the board, and it continues at the discretion of the chair. When your name is announced, please come to the podium and state your name. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. A warning signal will sound at the 15-second mark and at the end of that 2-minute time. Clapping, loud outbursts, or profanity will not be permitted. And it is important to note that pursuant to the open meeting law, during public comment, board members may not respond except to specific criticism made of the county, to ask staff to review a matter, or to give direction to place a matter on a future agenda.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, Madam Clerk, do we have any comments through the internet?
Chairman, Supervisors, we did receive a few email comments regarding various comments on different agenda items, but all of those comments were shared with all the board offices. I do have speaker forms. We have like 10 speaker forms, and I will bring these to you.
Okay. Okay. So welcome. I will go exactly in order as the clerk of the board has ably put them in order for me. So, and Jack, I need your glasses. All right. Because I don't want to blow names just because I can't see. Okay, Mr. Robert Canterbury is joining us today. Mr. Canterbury. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman and the board. Good day to the people of Maricopa County. My name is Robert Canterbury, and I am a candidate for Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in District 4 in 2024. I am a 20-year Navy veteran, Iraq War veteran, and former head of security for President Trump's 2020 campaign headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. And I'm also the Sergeant at Arms for both the Maricopa County Republican Committee and the Arizona GOP. As a Sergeant of Arms of the County Republican Committee, I have asked all the 20 legislative district chairpersons when was the last time they heard from their county supervisor, either by phone, email, text, social media, etc. Not one of those 20 LD chairs can tell me when the last time they heard from any one of you. I guess you're too busy to get out and meet your constituents. At every LD meeting that I go to around the county, there are state senators, state representatives, mayors, and even our congressional members in attendance. Back in May of 23, Clint Hickman attended a Democratic meeting in a Sun City Surprise area and spoke to their members. While it's not against the law to speak to a group of people of the opposite political party, it does, however, shine a very bad light on that politician when they refuse to meet and speak in front of the people of their own party. To the people of Maricopa County who are tired of the fraud that sits before us today, help is on the way. When I beat Clint Hickman next August in the primary and send him back to the egg farm, I will work tirelessly to regain your trust that you once had in Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, and I will bring honor, respect, dignity, and integrity back into the once great institution of what was the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. So help me God. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will just remind everybody I had 3 LD chairs on a Zoom call yesterday, so thank you for that. All right. Mr. Bob Grant.
Supervisors, I'm going to talk about 2 items. One is HAFA, which is Help America Vote or Act, and Arizona Revised Statutes, Title 16, Chapter 4, Article 4. By what constitutional authority does the federal government have to interfere with the people of the state of Arizona right of suffrage? By what constitutional authority did the state of Arizona legislature permit electronic voting systems, including vote tabulating equipment, for voting for candidates at both primary and general elections? By what constitutional authority did the state of Arizona legislature instruct the Board of Supervisors of the state of Arizona and its 15 counties to provide each polling place a device that complies with HAVA? Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 21. Free and equal elections. All elections shall be free and equal, and no power, civil or military, shall at any time interfere to prevent the free exercise of the right of suffrage. These contracts with Dominion, Eric, and Runbeck, by virtue of what these companies are doing, prevent the people from observing the actual vote count, violate voter privacy, and hinder transparency in the entire voting process, so much so that their accountability to the people has been usurped and is a trespass. How do we stop this? How do we get a voting system that is not corrupt and fraudulent?
Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Grant. Okay. Mr. Roger Pickerel. Welcome.
Welcome again. Thank you very much. I probably should shut this off before we
peel the paint off the walls. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Board of Supervisors. I want to start off right now and salute the guards, men and women of service of this country. Thank you for your service, and we continue our oaths under God. And thank you on that. I think I need to put this thing on my next.
Well, you have to use the microphone or the people on the internet won't be able to hear what you're saying. Yeah, so great, thank you.
I want 5 more seconds. No, I'm just saying. I want to start off by just reading what I'm about to serve, okay? In conjunction with our oaths that we've been talking about in this country, it is a mandatory that you take strict adherence to the common law is essential to all decision-making within the United States and Arizona constitutions. It is necessary for the people to instruct government officials in the fundamental principles that derive from common law. Arizona recognized the importance of common law by adopting it within its revised statutes. The common law only so far as it is consistent with and adapted to the natural and physical conditions of this state and the necessities of the people thereof are not repugnant to or inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States or the Constitution or laws of this state, or establish customs of the people of this state. It is adopted and shall be the rule of decision of all courts of this state. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm an old country boy, and I think a lot of us have that type of background too, but we was raised in a time, our dads and moms and grandpas told us that our word was our bond. Our handshake was an endorsement of the integrity who was within us. And that is our Lord Jesus Christ for most of us, thank you. And I just want to thank you for the opportunity to remind each and every one of us, we have a purpose and cause to serve our great God. And that's what's in our Constitution and our common law. Thank you so very much.
So thank you, Mr. Pickerel, for being here. Thank you for your service. As I said last time, I appreciate it. Mr. Canterbury, thank you for your service. I forgot to mention that while you were up in the dais. Okay. Miss Leslie Shepard.
Before I get up there, I want you to have
You have to hand over to the clerk if you would like us to take receipt of that. So thank you. Well, I'll go ahead and let you speak at 2 minutes. It will get to us. Go ahead.
Hello, public servants. I am here to remind you that you are the public servants. And when I'm talking to you, I'd appreciate that you give me eye contact. If you can't take the time out to return phone calls, Thomas Galvin, and you can't take the time to return emails, you can at least look in my eyes when I'm here to speak with you.
Listen, I just want to make a point. I have been listening to every single person speaking. I have been taking notes from every single person, starting with Mr. Canterbury. Just got a text message from my wife that someone we cherish is dying, okay?
That is so I'll take those minutes back.
That is the reason
I'll
why.
take those seconds back.
No. You made an unfair
You have not
assumption.
returned any emails, and you've not returned any phone calls regarding the question.
When someone
Ma'am, you cannot address us in that fashion.
What, to ask you to look at my eyes when I'm speaking?
You're 1 minute and 14 seconds.
Wasting your time.
Interrupting it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you talk about the fact that, one, again, you have water. We have to use a drinking fountain, or we have to leave ours unattended outside, which is completely. We have 2 people that are calling in. We wanted to know if we can actually call in our comments. We were told that we're not allowed to. We actually have to be here. Well, we'd appreciate that you guys show up for your job and you be here. If you can do it via communication with the computer or the online, so should we. I want to remind you, you have in front of you, hopefully, because that was why I was waiting, Maxim Law 84A. It says there is no stronger link or bond between men and oath. You guys took an oath. Again, I will say in Maxim Law 26C, the crime of treason exceeds all other crimes and punishment. Why am I saying this to you? Because you guys, you've recused a couple people. I've seen you on several meetings where you recuse people. You know that Katie Hobbs did not recuse herself. You know that she was involved in that election in a way she shouldn't have been, and you still certified it. I have here children books that Miss Katie Hobbs vetoes the protection of children. These things are like blatant. They sit here and it says how to have boy-on-boy sex. Different positions you can get in. Oh, it says here the sensitive areas, they're being kissed and they can be licked. These are things that you've allowed to be in the public schools.
Ma'am, your 2 minutes are over.
You've literally certified a fraudulent
You cannot
governor.
stay to the rules. You
Well,
will
then
be
don't
escorted
interrupt me
out.
when I'm speaking. You can wait until I'm done to be defensive.
Sorry, you've been
but don't interrupt my time to speak.
Ma'am, your 2 minutes is over. Thank you very much for joining us today. We will now move on to.
I just want to make a quick point that everyone else has been fantastic and respectful. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Galvin. Ma'am, Nancy Wilming. Thank you for joining us today.
Mr. Chairman and Supervisors, my name is Nancy Wilming. I'm here to speak on a topic you've received affidavits on before. We need to abide by the Constitution. The U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 4, the citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states. According to South Carolina Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, elections to be by secret ballot, protection of right of suffrage. All elections by the people shall be by secret ballot, but the ballots shall not be counted in secret. The right of suffrage, as regulated in the Constitution, shall be protected by laws regulating elections and prohibiting, under adequate penalties, all undue influence from power, bribery, tumult, and improper conduct. Also, according to the Arizona Constitution, Article 7, Section 11, general elections date. There shall be a general election of representatives in Congress and of state, county, and precinct officers on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November of the first even-numbered year after year in which Arizona is admitted to statehood, and biannually thereafter. We are called to continue frequent communication according to the Constitution, and I expect us to respect and abide by the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Next up is Beatrice Johnson. Ms. Johnson, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thank you. My name is Beatrice X. Johnson. I am the baby sister of Dorothy Jean Dale Chambers, who was killed by Nebraska Pekovic on April 26, 2022. He was speeding, driving reckless, and was going 58 to 60 miles an hour 5 seconds before impact when he killed my sister Dorothy and her companion Joseph Gutierrez. After nearly a year of getting Phoenix police to charge, on February 7th, Nebraska Pekovic was a no-show. I asked the judge for a warrant. On March 1st, Pekovic was arrested on 2 counts of serious bodily harm with death and 1 first-degree failure to appear. Somehow he got out of jail without seeing a judge, violating our family victims' rights. After the city prosecutor failed to provide our family with the paperwork for 2 months, we learned he was released at 1:58 a.m. without seeing a judge. His lawyer emailed his plea not guilty, and his bail was paid on March the 6th, 5 days later. On April 26th, we were scheduled for a pretrial, but the city prosecutor decided to redo the bail hearing since our victims' rights were violated, and I realized the defendant was not in the courtroom. He was a no-show again, but the city judge, prosecutor, and defendant attorney decided to allow him to call in on the phone. That didn't go well again. Our victims' rights were violated. We were scheduled for a pre-trial hearing, but learned days before, on June 26th, that the case was sent to Maricopa County again, which it was sent last year, and they didn't even look at it. They received it on December 1st and declined it on December 1st. When I asked Maricopa County Prosecutor Tristan why the case was back at the county, he said because of a lawsuit. Now, the county has the case. Our family has been suffering. We've been fighting. I live in California. I've been coming here for over a year. He failed the sobriety test. Where is the charges? So I need
Thank you.
somebody to please find out why this man is still
Thank you,
free.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. I appreciate you joining us today. Blue Crawley. Mr. Crawley.
Went to the RPTA meeting Thursday. I brought it up before them that there was an agenda item that was out of compliance with the laws and regs that you do. And what it was is there's an intergovernmental agreement between the RPTA and Valley Metro Rail to keep them as one agency. And it also states in here that designates the VMR as the lead agency to plan, design, construct light rail transit. And this is in effect until June 2026. Well, I have a problem with it because light rail funding stops December of 25, right? So why is it in here that it says that they're going to be doing the planning and design and building when they're not going to get a dime with the way that the new one goes? But then when I tried to discuss it with staff over there and said, hey, you know, all you're going to have is money for maintenance of that system, we don't need a testicular head taking that agency and the bus. We need to bifurcate them so that the bus part is dealt with correctly in that. And I just kept on hearing from them, well, nothing's going to change. We're still going to continue building in that, which is, as you said, the mayor's desires in that. Well, we need to bifurcate the agencies. You need to go according to the plan in that. And then when I look at both the equity and the life cycle program, my favorite part is the jurisdictions with light rail high-capacity transit projects in the current TLCP may request that the portion of the bus part of their equity be transferred to the light rail.
Blue, thank you.
So,
thank you.
How are we going to do that when the legislature said?
Thank you, Blue.
No.
I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Caldwell.
Chair, Supervisors, last meeting, the body told the public that you are not in control of any regulations regarding the laws created for the elections, and that's simply not true. The EPM specifically says that whoever runs the elections are supposed to come up with the election program. And so you guys run the election on election day. You are responsible for the machines failing, the printers failing on 2022, and we need to prevent that from happening again. One other thing is the EPM does not mention that people have to work, election creators don't have to work with strictly blind people. They can work with visually impaired or blind people. It also doesn't say anything about Braille ballots. And so we need to make sure that Braille ballots are capable of being read accurately. If they are something that needs to be created, they need to be created to help protect the secrecy of the ballot. I have gotten signatures from people who can't even read a piece of paper that is right in front of them, and the signature is not even valid on that. So we need to make sure that we actually do work with the 100% blind folks, and we need to make sure that their ballots are secret so that way they can accurately vote properly. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Ms. Hamilton.
Chairman, Supervisors, regarding the comment that you took issue with last time where I said you treat us as peasants because of your water policy, while I appreciate you having a water fountain out there, you can hear my voice is already harsh. If I go outside and come back, then I won't have time to actually submit public comment. Whereas the city of Phoenix, rather than having water fountains, they actually have a water filtration system. It's also at the airport. And since they maintain our water and they don't think our water is suitable for drinking, I think you should consider that admonition here. Also, if we're allowed to bring in a cup of water that comes from there, why wouldn't we be allowed to just bring in our bottled water? Like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But secondly, when it comes to your election plan, I again want to reiterate to please include the public and do public town halls on what that is prior to approving it, so that we can have input. Many poll workers and election workers have a lot of input. Supervisor Thomas Galvin, you had put out a tweet a couple of months ago asking for people to meet with you. I have several reports, comprehensive reports that I've done. Again, this is my background. I'd love to be able to meet with you on this. Your office hasn't responded to my request. And the last thing is on the library district. ARS 13-3553 prohibits parents from exposing their children to sexually explicit materials. It also prohibits the distribution of these materials. And it seems like our libraries are violating this law. Again, I am a survivor of sexual abuse, and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children cautions that early sexualization of children is one of the huge risk factors in children being exploited and sex trafficked. You have two books. One of them is Perfectly Normal, and the other one is The Ship We Built, that is blatant child pornography. It would violate your public comment meeting laws for me to even be able to read the content of those books. But by having our libraries govern in such a way that we're violating that law, I really think that our county attorney should take a look at this. You should remove child porn books, especially if you're going to then fund protecting children and getting justice for that exploitation. Start in our libraries, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us today. And the last speaker slip that I have is Miss Leah Cartwright.
Do you have my glasses?
Good morning, or afternoon now.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Zellner, and on behalf of Leah Cartwright, I am serving Steve Gallardo. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that wraps up the public comment period. So thank you all for joining us. We'll now next move on to item 114, which is the supervisor's summary of current events. I'll start off with our acting county manager. Do I call you that?
Sir, you can call me anything you like.
Val Beckett. Very good. Thank you, Val. I know that I was been notified that Bill had no comments to make, so so thank you, Bill. If I got that wrong, you can interject. As Supervisor Gallardo, as he joined us on the phone, would he like to make any public comments?
I don't believe he has joined.
Okay, then we'll go now to, I'll leave the vice chair in his, I'll go to Tom Galvin first.
Chairman, thank you. First of all, I want to thank everyone who took the time to come down here and provide public comment, especially those in the agenda items. I feel that those items were offered in good faith and with reason, and I understand where they're coming from, and I just want to say thank you for your patience that you showed going through the entire agenda. Secondly, I just want to say that District 2 was very proud to be at the Home Building Academy grand opening that was hosted by the Home Builders Association, and this is a program that is going to provide training for folks to get a new career in construction trades, and I think this is a wonderful thing. So I want to thank them for that. And Maricopa County was integral for this Home Building Academy to get off the ground because we provided the funding last year, and I want to say I'm proud of Maricopa County's involvement. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Vice Chairman Sellers.
Well, thank you, and I enjoyed learning more about what we're doing with the Home Builders Association, providing that vital training for skilled trades because we all recognize there's a real shortage there. I also attended the signing by the governor of the Prop 400 extension bill that turns that over to us now to put out to let our voters finally decide if they want to approve extending the transportation funding that's critical for the fantastic expansion we have going on here in the valley right now. I also attended a thing called Rio Reimagine project that was hosted by Senator Sinema. She actually got funding, which has reinvigorated that project, which is really exciting because it's providing funding to improve the quality and quantity that we get from those rivers, but also provides us with a lot of recreation and economic development opportunities. And we can certainly see a prime example of that in Tempe, but we also have a major Maricopa County park that is adjacent to this river project, and we'll be capitalizing on that as well. So I also attended a thing last week called Phoenix Growth Summit. The speakers included Chris Mackey from City of Phoenix, Sarah Porter from the Kyle Water Institute, Nick Woods, a zoning attorney, and basically they were just talking about how exciting the growth we have going on here in this valley is, but that we really need to be focused on what caused that and what we need to be doing to keep it going. So very worthwhile thing. So I'll stop there.
Okay, thanks, Jack. So thank you, everybody, for sticking with us and getting through the business of the meeting. I appreciate it very much. This county means quite a lot to me, so much so that I will give you a little piece of information. On next Monday, I will be in Judge Maz's courtroom, being able to face the accuser that will be sentenced on 2 of 3 counts for personal attacks and threatening the lives of my family and myself. And so I look forward to being able to face this accuser and to face this person who will now be going into the federal penitentiary. He lives in Iowa. And most of his statements were based on information that he was able to glean over and over and over again from the internet, social media sources. I just want to let everybody know that in this capacity, it is because of my work in the elections, our board's work, our people's work. Unfortunately, we see a story in the Arizona Republic today about the threats and the potential violence that might continue to occur, not just here, but nationwide. The board takes this extremely serious, and I look forward to representing all of our election workers when it comes to these threats and how we need to stop them. If we do not start serving and people providing grace and humility to our fellow community members, I don't know where this society is heading. But I do know that I want to have those qualities, and I want to be able to lead in this fashion. I'm very proud. I'm very proud that there was a club called the Democratic Club of Sun City that asked me to come and talk about my job. And I absolutely went there and talked about my job and the responsibilities I have as not sometimes chairman, but as a supervisor in my district. That was followed by the next morning, the Buckeye Rotary Club asked me to come and talk about the county and my job and my role there when it comes to all sorts of things in this county. So I appreciated the invitation. It was mentioned that I haven't seen legislative district. Well, actually, I have. I'm working on an issue for legislative district committee chairs, some of the same ones that censured our board. And I think they were stunned that I've never forgot my responsibility towards this county and the county residents. So there I was. And I've also, if we've talking about Republican politics, I've also been talking to State Chairman Jeff DeWitt about trying to figure out how to maybe have people treat a little bit nicer in these roles, and understanding that we have to govern. We just don't get to politic. We have to govern. There is a vast, huge difference between governing and legislating. There's a difference. We have to govern. We have to enact laws that we do not make in these roles. We might agree with them wholeheartedly. We might disagree with them, but the law is the law. We stay in the law. This is what we do. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the comments that were made today. I appreciate everyone hopefully staying on the agenda and germane agenda items. I would implore people. We are district representatives. If you live in a district and have an issue or something with an agenda that's germane, make sure you reach out. Make sure you reach out to the supervisor whose district you live in so you can question that. We will try to get you answers. We will try to use our staff members to get answers. I'm going to say, if anyone up here is not more familiar about food and contracts and standards, let's just say when you're a business that sells to Walmart and Costco, you understand contracts. You understand every bit of contracts. You understand every letter that gets in there. So I just want you, when you're talking about something like that, I just want you to know that I think I have some skill there. So meanwhile, we are at 12:12. I will ask, this is now this is 2 straight meetings that we've gone to noon with only 114 agenda items. 114 agenda items. Sometimes there are as many as 300 agenda items when we are doing business here. I will implore the public again that before you come here and decide that you want to touch on 50 agenda items or 30 or whatever, that you do the research, but you also give us a chance to try to answer these questions, or you're bringing visibility just by sending notes to us. We read it all. You might not think we do, but we do, and we pass those. We have an ombudsman office that we can look into it. It might not be the answer you want. You might not get the answer in a time frame, but I want to continue to remind you. I see a bumper sticker about taxpayer lives matter. They do. Taxpayers are out there working. They are building families, but they're also paying taxes into a government like this that provides customer service to people that we need to hire and to keep working. And it just bothers me. That's why I kept telling you agency heads, if there's nothing left on the agenda, go back to work. The taxpayer needs you to be at work with your people, supervising them or making sure big things are being done by the minute. So I will ask again and implore again that anybody that wants to come here, I am looking at this in the taxpayer's eyes, that we need to make sure that we are efficient, lean government that expects a lot of our people because we provide services to Maricopa County residents. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks for attending.